Mamelodi Sundowns have placed the women's coach, Jerry Tshabalala, on special leave while an investigation is underway to accusations that have been leveled against him of being inappropriate. He's being accused of making sexual comments, not only to the players but to the other female staff. And one of the things that has been detailed, or that has been reported upon, is asking the players how often they shave their private parts, or what they are shaped like. And if all of this is proven to be true, it is absolutely disgusting and absolutely damning. And I have to ask you the question, Chuck. We've heard from some circles that this is why, and some people are using this as evidence as to why male coaches should not be coaching female teams, which I would then say applies the other direction, where women should not be coaching men's teams, right? Where do you stand on that? Should men be able to coach women? Should women be able to coach men in football? Or should they not, so as to avoid such things from happening as Jerry Tshabalala is being accused of?
I think, as we've seen in society, right, that men and women, one, can coexist, but there are boundaries, or there are guidelines in terms of here's how we do coexist. That's the very same reason why you go to a restaurant. There's a men's and a women's bathroom. Not because all of us have genders, but if we stick to these guidelines, then you limit the possibility of anything heinous or anything otherwise happening. You go that way, but as soon as you come out, we can go sit at the same table in the restaurant. You can leave and go in the same car. That's fine. But when there's certain things like privacy that are needed, let's go that way, you go that way, and we avoid each other. And so I think, like with the stories that are being said, obviously still under investigation, that you walk into the change room or walking while the girls are still underdressed, and you're like, but Jerry, you should know that's not your place at that point in time. Tactics. You could have standard laws in terms of the first 10 minutes after, maybe in the first 5 minutes after halftime are mine. I'll give you those instructions, and then it's up to you guys to do whatever you want to do in that space and be comfortable in that space. But obviously, the point of contention comes in the idea that it's coaching, or at least is a battle of the mind. If you're a good enough coach as a male, why not give your coaching nuance and your tactics and your ideas to the women's side as well? If you're like, for instance, there were ideas of the English female side was coached by a Dutch woman in terms of what's the next step for her? Does she go and coach a men's side? Can those methods and those ideas translate to a men's side? And for me, why not? Because it's all football at the end of the day. But then she should also be able to then say, with the guys, first 10 minutes is mine. After that, do what you got to do as guys. I'll not be in your way. And so, to answer the question, Jay, I think it'll be tricky because of norms. We're used to women coaching women, boys coaching boys. Like, for instance, at PE, thinking about this now, I can't even give you an answer. When I was in PE, whenever the boys were doing swimming or whether we were playing football, whatever it was, some teacher took the boys and we did our thing. And then at the end of the day, the girls did their thing. And at the end of that period, we come together for English or maths or whatever it is together, right? And so I can't even tell you why, apart from us changing in different bathrooms, which are already established, I can't tell you why we couldn't play football or touch or whatever with the ladies. I don't know why. But what I'm trying to get at, Jay, ultimately my answer is that men and women can coexist. Even in the sporting field, they should coexist, because just because there's a female coach, or rather a male coach in a female group, or a female coach in a male group, does not mean that say for instance, the famous Chelsea physio. Everyone knew who she was because of her looks. She stood out. She was there working with the guys. There were no stories of improper conduct because she was doing her job the way she's supposed to do her job. And so if you do what you're supposed to do, and you do what you're there for, primarily, you do what you're there for, there shouldn't be any issues, because it's not a strength contest. It's not a beauty contest. It's a battle of wits. If you've got enough knowledge, if you've got enough experience, take the job. Give us what you have. And so follow those guidelines. Everything should be hunky-dory. For instance, even if it was a matter of Jerry being with guys, obviously it won't be as big a story. But imagine Jerry's like, hey, Temba or Jabu or Scott, why aren't you shaving? Why is your thing shaped like that? That's still inappropriate. So if you just become normal and you're like, dude, let me just pass on this message. I need you to do this and that and that. Or if you want to be one of the guys, don't be weird. Just don't be weird.
I think that's the message, Chuck. Don't be weird. Don't be a sexual deviant.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary, And I'm with you, Chuck. I do think you should be. I do think men should be able to coach women's teams, and I do think women should be able to coach men's teams. You think of Serena Wegman, the coach of the English women's team, or you think of Anema Hayes, who previously coached Chelsea, and now is coaching the USA women's teams. And there's been intrigue, right, in terms of looking at their success in the women's game, how that would translate into the men's game. Because ultimately, as you're saying, when we're talking about coaching, we're not talking about any physical output. It is how you understand the game, and if it translates in terms of the tactical approach on the one side, it should on the other side. There are other differences, of course. The temperaments, I do believe, between men and women are different, but I don't think that's a gap you wouldn't be able to cover. Where there's a question, Chuck, and if I'm being honest, is with the men, right? And the reason I say that is because along with the story with Jerry Tshabalala, if you then look at the history of the world and the movements that started reporting on things, it was not because things started to happen now. That's why we're hearing about them. It was that people started to talk about them. So you wonder as well if history holds, or if that holds, how many of these incidents have happened over the years, right? But then also, Chuck, anecdotally, another example of this was with the Spanish women's team. On the biggest night of Spanish women's football, you have the coach kissing the player on the mouth, and the uproar that happened there. And that was not just the only incident, right? Because those players did come out asking for the coach to be removed from his post, not only because of that, but because of other incidents that they've had with him. So it really is, as you said, stop being this way. It's unnecessary. You are there to coach. Why are you suddenly looking at these women as a piece of meat, or as an opportunity for you to go into the dressing room and cop a look? How old are you? Like, what are we talking about here? What the hell? What the hell is happening?
People are looking for an opportunity. Because
that's all it is, Charles.